Couldn't agree more. Funky Moon have been playing absolutely superbly all evening and have come away with 3 Ws. And Pleb2Pro also, same deal. The tyrants of the open division at the moment, GL. Going to be interesting to see this matchup on Cursed Cursed Hollow, rather.
Nice little dig at Blank would just giving him a little bit of a jab for that little mishap last game. But yeah, it's going to be on Cursed Hollow, and it is going to be Pleb2Pro on the red with Funky Moon on the blue. And it's actually going to be the Stukov band right off the bat, not wanting to deal with that and potentially leaving some of the stronger heroes like the Maiev available for them, try and force a ban out of Funky Moon.
And straight into the action for this one. Stukov and Maiev or potentially the Maiev. Yeah, it's the Maiev. Of course, it's the Maiev GL. Stukov being banned is such a great decision. He has had so much impact tonight in the games, and I think Pleb2Pro just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, and it also leaves it open for Pleb2Pro to actually pick up the Malfurion potentially right off the bat. It's actually going to be the Greymane realizing the strength, especially on a map like Cursed Hollow, where you do want to be taking a lot of those mercenary camps, even in the early to mid game. Greymane can do that so efficiently by himself and can allow the rest of his team to keep on holding onto those lanes. And then once they get those camps, they can start pushing down pressure. Greymane does that so very well and translate a lot of that strength into the team fights later on.
Yeah, the transition away to go get some of those CGs super quick is absolutely one of Greymane's finest little additions to the early game. And I wonder what we're going to see coming out of Funky Moon to counter that. And we see the Dahaka and the Malfurion. So 2 very potent heroes right now, GL. Dahaka with that global value on such a large map.
Yeah, he can be able to, he can influence the whole map very early on and can be very powerful in getting a lot of that early experience lead. And the Malfurion, we've seen it over the course of the night as well, just how much power he brings in a lot of the team fights, in a lot of these very small skirmishes, and just how much control he has over the battlefield at this point. And it's actually going to be, an Arthas and an Abathur picked up for Pleb2Pro. So Abathur, this is one of the maps where he does get a lot of priority because of its size and also, especially with this composition that they've already put together. They've got some heroes that pair together with the Abathur very well. You put the symbiote onto Arthas, he can be an unstoppable monster. If you put onto Greymane, all of a sudden he is enabled to be that unstoppable monster. And later on, you can get doubles of those heroes who can do so much work. And also just being able to influence the whole map can be very powerful for this hero.
Nail on the head there, GL. The symbiote onto Greymane, if he goes into the hat build, which no doubt he will. Can't see him playing Global Mines and doing some cheeky backdooring, but hey, we'll leave that for quick match. No, the attack speed buff on the Greymane, the increased range on his stab, just incredible value to be added. Not to mention the ability for Pleb2Pro to now rotate as a 4-man, leaving Abathur to soak 2 lanes. They can dominate this map early on.
Yeah, but they have to be very careful with how they play around it because of the Dahaka and the influence that he can have on that global scale, and whether or not they can actually deal with that. But actually, the Cho'Gall getting picked up by Funky Moon. What? This actually doesn't surprise me too much because on this team they have Jade and also Silic. Those 2 had played Cho'Gall together for so long, and they pride themselves on being an incredible Cho'Gall duo. So they are really looking to make a statement.
Funky Moon busting out the Cho'Gall. This is, look, they've got the global in Dahaka, so he can burrow in whenever he needs to. Brush stalk in whenever he needs to. Abathur can burrow or deep tunnel elsewhere. Malfurion can probably keep the Cho'Gall very, very healthy. GL, this is a very, very interesting matchup.
Yeah, and the thing is, they do already have some of the counters or some of the potential counters to the Cho'Gall on the side of Pleb2Pro. They have the Greymane with the potential Cursed Bullet. They can just really shred down that hero. There are some other options available, things like potentially Karazim. They're actually going to pick up the Lucio for the mobility. The Malthael with his percentage health damage of the Reaper's Mark, he is going to be able to shred down that high HP, but it's still very hard to deal with the Cho'Gall. They can output a lot of damage, and once it gets later and later into the game, once they get some of those 16 and 20 talents, they can just overtake some of these team fights and just blast away at some of those squishy members.
Lucio enabling the Arthas and Greymane to be really sticky on top of their targets if and where they need to be. And also that, yeah, the Malthael, as you say, the percent health damage is going to prove quite disruptive to the Cho'Gall. I was going to suggest that it was either the Malthael or the Tychus.
Yeah, those are the two that are usually thought of when it comes to dealing with the Cho'Gall. Then there's also potentially for support instead of a Lucio, maybe going for a Kharazim for a 7-side strike. That does blast through it very well. Also,
there he is.
To finish it off, we do get the Medivh. So we haven't been able to see it all night. It got banned. I think it got banned in the first series. We didn't see it for the next two, but now we get to see it. He is available for this night. It was only now available for competitive here in ANZ, but we get to see him, and I'm very much excited for this composition that Funky Moon have. It is just a whole barrel of I don't know what the hell's gonna happen here. It's
well,
it's really hard
two
to
undefeated teams, mate. So this is going to be a barrel of excitement or a barrel of laughs. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to a close game. I want to see this go to 20, and I want to see a team fight at 20 with these comps.
I'm to be honest, I'm not sure what a team fight at 20 looks like with these two teams, or like what has happened in the previous 20 levels that we get to a team fight at 20. What has happened on the map for that to happen? Because a lot of these heroes on both sides, it's just a whole bunch of you not playing for standard. You want to be playing it in a very specific manner. And I don't know what to expect, but I'm very excited to see what happens.
I don't see this going to 20. Both of these teams know how to capitalize on an advantage. So if Pleb2Pro take out that Cho'Gall, there's two people down off the map. They're going to capitalize and they're going to take bosses. And conversely, if we get a pick onto an Abathar or a Malthael, that's going to be bad news for Pleb2Pro. As we get underway, GL, we have got Pleb2Pro on the red team with Moops on the Lucio. Hacky all over that Greymane. Vicarak repping the Arthas. Physics on the Abathar. And Mitzi on Malthael.
And on the blue side, we have the Funky Moon. We have Stump God on the Medivh. We have Silic on the Cho. We have Jade on the Gall. We have Pel on the Dahaka. And Sukra on the Malfurion.
Oh, look at the taunt. Straight out.
I can hear Blaine giggling, and I know exactly why.
Well,
and I'm not going to say why, because, yeah.
The name of the Cho'Gall team.
I am not going to say anything about that.
Subtle hint.
But yeah, there's been some, I guess we could say, some bad blood amongst some of the players in this scene. And you can see very well right there, but we are getting into the early game, and already we have a lot of pressure coming down from Pleb2Pro on this bottom side of the map, even utilizing physics on the Abathar down here, as well as Moops and Hacky, just putting as much pressure as they can, trying to get some of those structures down, trying to get some of that early experience to accelerate the game.
Yeah, the Cho'Gall gets rooted by Vicarak there on the Arthas, and maybe was going for a bit of an engage there, but doesn't get it. Dahaka just hanging out in the bush up in that top lane. And Stumpy down the bottom, dealing with the Lucio and the Abathar in bot. It's a fairly even spread here, GL.
Yeah, and we're probably not going to be seeing a lot of the very unusual rotations or unusual map play until we start to get into plays around the mercenary camps and also the objectives. And at that point, we'll start to see whether or not or how they're going to play around the Cho'Gall and how Pleb2Pro want to be utilizing this Abathar.
You're absolutely right. And sorry, I believe chat has just picked up on Cho'Gall's name.
Yeah, it's a little bit obvious, but we are just going to counter it. It is a bit of a meme here in ANZ, I guess.
We'll leave that there, as we've got Cho'Gall trying to get onto that Lucio, gets him for the root. Moops goes down. Hacky comes out for Stump God. Moops, Cho'Gall goes all over Hacky's face. This is confusing. And Hacky goes down to Medivh.
So in the end, that is a 2-for-2 with the Cho'Gall going down for Funky Moon and the Lucio and the Greymane going down on the side of... Oh god, it's just thrown me for a loop, this whole thing.
It's absolutely thrown my game.
It's just really just throwing me for a loop, and I just don't know what to do. But we are getting the first tribute, and already early on, we're seeing a little bit of an experience lead going over to the side of Pleb2Pro, and it's a pretty good start for them.
Yeah, and we're seeing the value come out of the Abathar. We're seeing the value coming out of Arthur staying in this bottom lane. Lucio doing his rotations and just doing Lucio things, really. Malthael getting some really good push against Pell up in the top lane on that Dahaka. Abathar poking his head out the middle, being a little bit cheeky after that night camp gets picked up. And we've got the very first curse spawned with Cho'Gall throwing some balls around. GL.
Yeah, this could be very... this is an opportunity for Funky Moon to really utilize this composition because of the amount of spells and how freely they can throw them out. The Cho'Gall, they can stall this out for an incredibly long time, but we see Pleb2Pro just not letting that happen at all, just starting to blast away at some of these structures and also some of the heroes. But look at just how much maneuverability in around these areas and amount of damage is being thrown around that comes out from Funky Moon. It's very hard to deal with, and this extended engage is, I don't think, going to go in favor of Pleb2Pro in terms of the objective, but we can see them in the mid lane. Mitzi is just dominating Pell in that 1v1, able to keep on applying pressure in the mid lane, and the Abathar still has Soak on the top side. So in this narrow area on the bottom side, it's looking pretty good for Funky Moon, but in the grand scheme of things, Pleb2Pro are in a pretty decent position.
Yeah, we see that Cho'Gall applying a lot of pressure to Vicarak there, and Moop's obviously trying to give his team mobility. Now, Cho'Gall under a fair bit of pressure from Vicarak, getting some damage out there. Obviously not going to take him down, but enough to be a pest. Stumpy with some really well-placed portals there. So I wonder how long this fight for the first tribute point's going to take here, GL. This is really interesting with Mouth punishing that mid lane, and Funky Moon not really able to answer.
Yeah, Mitzi on that Malthael was able to get the solo kill onto that Dahaka, so that's so much more pressure coming in on that mid side, or the middle of that map, able to drop that fort down to half. And now that they've got as much advantage as they feel necessary, Mitzi's going to start coming down and helping out with this very extended fight. Now it's technically a 4v4 with also that Abathar coming in. We can see the additional damage coming out, just forcing away this Cho'Gall. They have to be very careful with how they play around these fights, and they are going to actually get that tribute, the side of Pleb2Pro. So even though they were getting quite low, some of those members, they were able to clean that up. They were able to get the advantages elsewhere, and they're in a brilliant position. They're going to be very close to getting to level 10 by the time that next tribute comes up, and then they can start applying the pressure.
Yeah, the value they're getting out of that Abathar is absolutely exponential. They're almost level 10 for Pleb2Pro, and now they're going straight onto a boss. So this is going to be a high value gain here straight into the next tribute. This should net them level 10 once it pushes through that top area. To keep in the fort in mid, already half health here, GL. Funky Moon need to start reacting, because that was essentially a 4v3 down at bot for that sort of 4 minutes around their first tribute, and they got no value from it.
Yeah, I feel as though Funky Moon were trying to just play as much as they can from that first engagement around that first tribute, but they were not able to lock it down. They were just continually delayed time and time again, and in the end they just got ground out by the advantages from the Malthael getting in the mid lane and also the Abathar in the top side. And then they just they tried to get it to work, but it just wasn't working, and then they were not able to get experience around the map. And now we can see a considerable difference when it comes to experience. Level 11 almost up for the side of Pleb2Pro, whereas they're not even close to 10 on the side of Funky Moon. And this is going to be a double boss play.
A boss as well, GL.
Yeah, a double boss play.
Both bosses.
Yeah, and they are just going to use this to just keep on shoving advantages straight in the face of Funky Moon. They've been trying to be very fancy with this Cho'Gall composition, but so far it just hasn't really worked out for them. It can do some real wonders later on, but Pell is really getting bullied in this game.
Pell is copying it from all angles at the moment. He goes down to some great bodying there from Vicarak and Moves. And like I said, that Lucio really enabling his melee heroes to be super sticky. We see Cho'Gall copping a lot of pain from Mitzi. Lots of damage coming out. That Abathar hat providing a lot of value. The boss, even an early game boss here, GL, is now threatening to keep walls and opening this game up. And all they did was sacrifice one curse for this. Very tactical play here from Pleb2Pro, showing that they are the dominant force in the open division.
Yeah, we see the damage coming out. There is that curse bullet going straight onto that chokehold, dropping him quite low as the shadow volley is going to start getting thrown through, just trying to force it away. Members of Pleb2Pro, as we are seeing those Raven Familiars coming out from the Medivh and just bursting out a whole bunch of damage as they step through, but that has to be a lot to worry about. His Stump God is actually just going to go down immediately, as that is going to be all of those stacks reset, and this is just the go button for Pleb2Pro. They're just going to keep on pushing in. They do not want to stall it out for longer than necessary. Just look how much pressure they're putting into the base of Funky Moon.
That pickup on the Medivh was completely unexpected. I think it might have been some missed timing with that Force of Will there. Pleb2Pro, obviously not going to go threaten the core this early on, but they are a talent tier ahead. They're level 14 now, so 3 full levels ahead of our Funky Moon friends. And there's a tribute just sitting on the map. Abatha not willing to give up that experience, and Tahaka trying to claw some of that experience back. This is not looking good for Funky Moon, and I don't know whether or not it was a tactical piece in picking up that chokehold, or whether or not it was more trying to get a cheeky thumb up the nose on a big scale.
I feel as though it was a lot of that play around that first tribute. They needed that to work for them. They need to be able to get that tribute and also maybe a kill or two, but they just weren't able to. The delay and the stall and the ability to get advantages elsewhere on the side of Pleb2Pro just made it so not only were they getting experience advantages around the map, but they were able to even turn that fight around, pick up the tribute for themselves, and really just start this snowball in favor of Pleb2Pro.
Oh, you see the Leyline Seal go out and completely miss everybody. Shadow Bolt volley gets no value. Arthur's taking a bit of damage there. Pell also taking quite a bit of damage from Mitzi's health damage, rather. Sorry. Getting a little bit excited, guys. Forget to breathe. We got the Night Cam pushing along in mid there, GL. They're trying to get this mid keep down, mid fort down, sorry. We've got a Death Bush. Is it going to happen?
Well, it's a little bit hard to get a Death Bush to happen when you have a Medivh in the skies above, but they are just going to keep the fight going. They don't, but the Tahaka is on the top side, and a great Twilight Dream is going to stop a lot of that aggressive play, but Stump God is going to be the first victim of this fight, and this is going to be the signal for the rest of Pleb2Pro. Just keep on moving forward. They take down the Malfurion, they take down the Cho'Gall, and they are just going to keep on piling through the base of the Funky Moon.
Pretty sure this is going to be another keep here, or they're just going to go and end on core. They're going to go for core here, GL.
They very well could. They have the tools.
They've got triple catapults here. 10 seconds left on everyone to respawn. They've got the damage to do it. Greymane here, Taki putting in all the damage. Mitzi punching away. Pell trying to do what he can, doing some cheeky B-stepping. Only one reason, this is gonna go down. Leyline Seal actually captures the Lucio there for a little bit, but not gonna be enough. GL, what an interesting match.
It was intriguing to say the least. It was a very opportune, well, I guess it was a very ambitious strategy coming out from Funky Moon. I see situations where that could have worked out, but I think the way that Pleb2Pro played that first tribute really just put a spanner into that works. And once that composition started getting put behind, they just didn't have the tools to really reassert themselves.
You nailed it on the head there, buddy.